Hello. Welcome, everyone. Good day. How's the lunch? Was it too much? Yeah, feel sleepy. So, what we will do today is not only me will be talking with you, but I have Adli Bhai with me. He will also be talking, but it is not us who will only be talking. So, we will engage you because it will be a hands-on session. So if you have your laptop with you, you can power it up and enable a Linux machine from VirtualBox or VMware Workstation. So we will do it together. Okay. Um, Before we start, um, how many of you have worked with network security or as a network admin? Okay. And from the system or application or other domain, cloud or anything as such? Bit. Okay, cool. Um, our today's session is not only talking about how we can analyze a network attack, we'll be seeing few of them, but also how we can leverage Yeek and also a bit of mightier attack. Frankly speaking, this tutorial was inspired by one of my hands-on workshop that is designed for 5 days. So I that is designed for 5 days, and since last week, I have conducted only 3 of them. So there are more than 130 people I have trained for only this hands-on workshop. The title was Network Security Monitoring and Threat Hunting. So I cut it down for only 1 days. Then Apricot PC board told me that we don't have the time for you. So you can only have 2 sessions, in total 3 hours. I was like, okay, what I am gonna tell them? Okay. So I cut so many pieces, and then put something so that we can give you the idea and the takeaway that you will get it from here and work it in your environment, whether you are a service provider or you have an enterprise network. So we will be talking about network security, bit of a zig, and then mightier attack. Frankly speaking, the simulation lab that I designed was crashed last night. Uh, as usual, last moment work. I never do last moment work, but I thought make something little bit more interesting and more engageable, and then that happened. And as I traveled yesterday night from Bangladesh to here, I got only 3 hours of sleep. And yesterday, the full day, I was roaming around the whole event. And I was like, oh no, my body is shaking. So I wake up today very late, and I designed in a different way that at least we can grasp that idea. Uh, so I talked about the agenda. This is me, a thin Bangladeshi guy, Shamim Reza. Basically, I have a very big name. My great grandfather, both from my parents, uh, they took the initiative and named me a big one, Abu Shama Muhammad Shamim Reza Shohag Sarkar. So the Sarkar is our legacy, family legacy. Shohag was my nickname. So when I registered for my school, our principal told me that you need to shorten your name. So they ditched shortcut, that is a family legacy, and they told me that you can't even use your nickname. So I also ditched Shohag. And then they came up with the form where I couldn't fit Abu Shama Muhammad Shamim Reza. So they told me that shorten your first three. So ASM Shamim Reza. Now, what happened when I joined Link 3 back in 2009? That was my first interview and first job. And Link 3 was the biggest ISP in Bangladesh. So my boss has a very sense of humor. We have another senior AGM whose name is Shamim. And he also sat in our floor. He was like, if we named you as Shamim, we can call you, hey, Shamim, bring my coffee. And every single time, my boss called me, Shamim, bring me the pain, bring me the water. That senior Shamim Bhai is looking towards him. You are calling me? Oh, no, 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 boss, we are calling Shamim. So that is how, since 2009, I named as Shamim. So now everybody knows me. That was Link 3. And then I started working for a Japanese cybersecurity service provider named Pipeline Incorporation. We were basically focused on defensive cybersecurity. We had in-house built SIEM, SOAR that can be used also as an SOAR, and also we were the sole distributor for Spam House threat intelligence. And based on that, we developed a DNS security gateway firewall. You also know Inflobox, Safe DNS. So a little bit like that, but it is more customizable. Like we can deploy on-prem, we can also deploy on the cloud based on the use case of the customer. And I tried my best to do so many things as their group CTO and CISO over there for last 4 years. And then I left Pipeline last year, September, and now heavily engaged with my initiative, which is the Team Phoenix. I started it back in 2016, but uh, as I couldn't give the full time over there, there was nothing much. But since 2021, we have done so many things in terms of capacity building and research and cybersecurity awareness, raising awareness in not only Bangladesh, but also the SAARC countries. I have been working with APNIC since 2018 heavily, and I was contracted by them since 2020 as their APNIC City and SME. So this is about me. Today I have with me one of my international mentor whom I get to meet in 2014. And that time, I was amazed to see that he demoed us how the attacker is doing and via honeypot. And that is what triggered me. Okay, so I get to know something what the miscreant is doing in my network. So I will give the mic to Adli Bhai for his introduction.
I got my own mic. Good afternoon, everybody. Again, welcome to the session. I am just a local flavor for this session. I work for APNIC, but I'm also Malaysian. So I think he need local support. So I'm here as a side gig. But yes, I've been with APNIC since 2014. I'm probably known today as the person who runs the APNIC Community HoneyNet project. So we do a lot of interesting observation on what is happening threat-wise in the region, and then share it with APNIC members and with other communities worldwide. My work in cybersecurity, and as we all know, security is a huge domain, right? Some of you have done security and sysadmin. My time spent in security has been more on the investigation and incident response side of things. So I'm more into sharing threat data and then helping building certs and all of that. And that's also partly why in the past I've worked with the Malaysia cert and with the bank. And I think one of the things that we would like to get out of today's session, because it is such a short session, number one, if maybe we can connect with all of you, If there is interest to spend time on this particular topic, not only on the threat side and adversaries and things like that, what they're doing, how to be proactive, and so on, but also how to build our community so that we can sort of learn quickly from one another. Because I find that in a lot of cases, when we're talking about security, we're kind of talking about the same thing for the last maybe 20 years, right? The same advice, the same motivation, right? We need to collaborate, we need to work together, we need to be fast. But as we see, there's a lot of cases today, as we see, even at the conference, we notice that people still work in silos. Your network is your problem. I just look after my own thing. And then sharing information about attacks, about incident is still a taboo. Like, I would like to share it, but my boss won't let me. So I think in that scenario, the attacker wins all the time, right? So we're back to square one, trying to convince people every year, every time, to sort of like work together. It's good that we have this capability inside the organization and train more people, but I think ultimately we want everybody to share information and work closer together. So that's a bit about me. Pass it back to Shamim.
Yep. Thank you, Levi. There is a statement by Mr. Jene Spafford. He stated in a conference so many years ago. He said that whatever he said, again, he mentioned that he had a doubt whether it could be a secure place or not. So how? Turn off the power of your system, put in a concrete block, and place it in a room that is guarded by a heavily armed security guard. But after that, he still have doubt whether it could be a security system or not. So what does it mean? You are turning off your system. Then you are putting it somewhere that nobody can get to it. So whenever we are talking about cybersecurity, we came out with a term, CIA. When I didn't know about CIA, I thought probably it is the intelligence agency of USA. What they are talking about. So CIA means confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So if I focus on his statement, availability gone. So my service or my application or my infrastructure or network doesn't have any value. Then comes integrity. So anything can be changed. And if I correlate something from CIA and then his statement, I always try to mention this one, that whenever you are connected with internet or digital network, you are not secured. What does that mean? People ask me, that means we are not secured. Then why we are investing so many money on the people, technology, and process, and so on? I explain them, you are controlling your damage, your reputational damage, your financial damage, your business operation, and so on. And you are spending billion, doesn't matter. One way or another, it could be compromised. So what we can do is we can, with all the measures, with all the people and process and technology, we can lower down those damage. I give an example of COVID. What COVID has taught us? Like, we need to keep distance, we need to wear mask, we need to wash our hand frequently. Why? This is kind of a basic cyber hygiene. So there are so many things we have in cyber security that we don't follow, and that is counted as a cyber hygiene. Like I have been checking the 53 port as open DNS resolver since 2021, not only in Bangladesh, but also India, Nepal, Bhutan, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. And what I have been seeing since then, since 2021 to 2024, December 2024, there is a exponential growth of open DNS resolver. Like from 21 to 22, it was 10%. 22 to 23, it was 10%. But 22 to 23, it was more than 25%. And now, in last December, in Bangladesh only, there were more than 88,000 IPs were working as open DNS resolver. So I dig deep. What coming out? Most of them are MikroTik router, as usual, cheaper solution. So they bought it and they put it. There is a option like masquerade DNS. They never disabled it. And that is what make that particular MikroTik router listen as open DNS resolver. So these are the basic ideas. And whenever I talk about this fundamental concept to the people who are considering themselves as out of cybersecurity, I told them no. There is a wrong idea that has been explained by the industry and the vendor. Cybersecurity is holistic umbrella and holistic, broader umbrella and holistic overview, and network security is a part of that. So if you are working with network security and you are counting yourself that I am not a part of cybersecurity, that is a wrong part, wrong concept. People are explaining. There are so many domains in cybersecurity. So Adli Bhai has something on that.
No, I have a question, Shamim.
Yeah.
I like network security. I care about network security, but I only care about DDoS attack.
Oh man.
Don't talk about anything else. DDoS is the only thing that matters to me. Is that true? What's that? What do you think is the attitude out there when you talk to cybersecurity professionals? What part of cybersecurity do they care about? AI. That's new. Always AI. Scared about the new AI. DDoS. Can we everybody agree? DDoS is the biggest problem out there. Oh, we need a mic.
Which one is bothering him? So we cannot say just one thing. Everyone will say what the thing is bothering him. That will be more important to him. It could be DDoS or maybe something
All
else.
right. So for your day job, you have to care about DDoS because that's on your job scope.
System security. So it could be DDoS, it could be system security, it could be depend on the network administrator or system administrator. So depending on the domain, they are care about like the systems they have, the PCs they have. So the system administrator, they are more focused on system part of security. If there's network administrator, they will be focusing on the routing part, switching part, or maybe basically on firewall, DDoS, IPS, such kind of systems they will take care.
Okay.
So each kind of in the organization as well, they have the different kind of their demarcation and boundaries to support. So that could be one of the challenging to take a overall responsibility.
Yeah. So because we keep on saying that it's a big picture, but everybody has a small picture in their pocket, right? And this brings me to that example that he gave about these open ports, open services. Everybody is telling me, what's the DDoS solution that you can propose? We can buy it. But I told them, okay, maybe you can start by closing all those unnecessary services that is across the country. Oh, but we cannot touch those devices, It's beyond our scope. But these are the very services that will be used to run a DDoS attack against you, right? So you cannot just have a solution for yourself. You have to look outward as well, right? Because there are these things are pretty much interrelated. One last point before we go forward. He spoke about security as being important because we have a reputation to protect. How many organizations really care about cyber incident and their reputation? If you have a major incident today, will it really affect your reputation? How? Will you, okay, let me be specific. Will you lose business? Will you lose business? You lose customer data, okay. Will you lose business?
Depends on the organization, I think.
Depends on organization, okay. Is that theoretical or it has really happened?
It has not really happened, but in some cases, maybe at the back end, it would have been.
Okay.
But we don't know about every organization, right?
Okay.
So,
So then let me ask, how many of you have had an incident and you actually lost business?
I think it's not like you immediately lose business, but the future business that's you are going to get you can also lose that as well. So it's not like your immediate customer will go away, but the future customer who are you are going to sell them, maybe if they hear about that incident, they then will be reluctant to buy a service from you.
You guys agree? Maybe we have forgotten about it. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess SolarWinds was affected. I think they lost their business, but I think they've actually just been sold off and wrapped
Yeah,
up in
life
something
goes
else.
on. Yeah, life
They
goes
just
on.
needed to
Yeah.
rebrand it to
Yeah.
shake that
Yeah.
off. But to some extent, they were impacted, but they
Yeah.
were a security business. That was their.
That's right. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, I think there could be some differences between, like, if I'm selling a security solution and there's a major vulnerability, maybe I will lose business. But in my observation, people have short memory. Like for a few months, after that, you know, if you have good marketing, good PR, life will be back to normal, right? Life will be back to normal. Maybe in some industry, but I guess so it depends on industry. In some industry, if there is a security incident, then there'll be, you know, some cost to it, consequences, right? You'll be fined, and then, you know, your bosses will be dragged into inquiries and things like that, and they don't like that. They feel uncomfortable, right? I remember working for the financial institution. The boss says, your job is to make sure that we don't appear in tomorrow's headline, right? Because that's bad. That's bad for us. That will disrupt my job. So just make sure that. But I think for the most part, sometimes when we say that, you know, we do this for reputation, in reality, it doesn't really happen, because in some places, even for me, like if I'm about to subscribe to a service, I don't really check about their incidents in the past. I just subscribe to it. And you know, if it's not so much of a convenience, maybe I'll just stick to them. Maybe they'll improve. If it's really bad, maybe I'll switch. But I think sometimes we have to think about this reality, that, you know, do people really care? There are some software, last example, there are some software that we use every day that has critical patches released every month. I will not mention which company, but we still keep on using their software, right? Life goes on. They provide patches, so what, right? Every Tuesday, you know, that company, whom we shall not name, but yeah. Go ahead.
Yep. So when I talk about that part, I try to correlate with our real life example. Like before we affected with a disease, we don't care about healthy lifestyle, right? We don't get up early morning. We don't drink warm water or some herb water, and then healthy breakfast, 9 to 5 work, and sitting only 30 minutes, and then move around and so on, and going to bed early. When we try to do that, when we affected with a disease, like the doctor gave us some prescription and ask us or request us to change our lifestyle. So same thing happens in digital infrastructure or network infrastructure. Whenever we are attacked by something, we are getting concerned that, hey, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to buy some firewall and so on. So people consider cybersecurity as using antivirus and more of a firewall, that's all. But cybersecurity or working in security is not about that. Working in security is about people, process, and technology. So if we are concerned about why network securities matter, so this information I took some of them from IBM, and they stated that global cybersecurity threat increased by 75% in 2024 in compared to 2023. So yes, definitely during 2020 and 2021, during the COVID period, the cyber attack has a different goal, different mechanism, different threat actor, and so on. We'll be seeing a few of them in later slide. But after that, the threats and attacks are getting evolved day by day. So as a network defender, we need to know them very well, because to catch a thief, we need to think like a thief. Yep. And this second part is also, I took it from IBM research. They mentioned that in 2023, a single cyber breach cost 4.43 million USD. Just a single breach. So there are more than a million breach happened every year all over the world. And this breach not only caused them financially, but also the network availability. The A from the CIA is hampering. Definitely, as one of our fellow participants mentioned that SolarWinds supply chain attack, that is a huge example in front of us. Almost 80,000 organizations that took the support and services from SolarWinds got affected, and not only enterprise, but also the government agencies. And the second example we can give is Colonial Pipeline ransomware attack. And that happened because of the third party again, and it disrupted the US fuel flow, fuel supply on the East Coast. So see, you are on the winter season and you don't have any supply on fuel. So there is no power and you are freezing up. So definitely security is a matter to consider, not only consider, but actively we need to think on that to maintain a good, healthy life. Foundation of security, why? Because network is the backbone. It is carrying everything, your personal information, your financial transaction, your confidential business document, and so on. So we'll be seeing attack vector in the network layer in the next few slides, but we'll jump into another recent cyber attack example, Easterbug. See, it took us to pre-internet time. All of the branches in UK and USA, they got back to pen and notebook, to work on their paycheck for their employees. And that happened because one of their third-party vendor got ransomware attack, and their whole supply chain was compromised. So you see, Easterbug, the whole USA and UK operation was stuck and got back to pen and notebook. Can you imagine that right now? Everybody, all of you has a smartphone, you are looking at it, taking notes, seeing something. I have a question. Last time, when did you write something and took note on with pen, pencil, or khata or paper? Can you remember last time? When did you do that? Writing something on, taking note on paper?
Still do it?
Sometimes? Yeah. Okay. So I stopped doing that almost 7 to 8 years ago. I was more focused into a smart device, doing all of the things smart. But after I saw this one, I started taking note with pen and paper because I forgot to write. So see, this is how things are changing our life, but sometimes we need to also manage our generic areas that we were used to do.
Yeah. Shamin, just on this note, I mean, if it's a coffee shop, maybe this is not a critical industry, right? But if it happens to a power company or an ISP or telco, which has happened, right? And they had to resort to manual kind of things. Everybody has to remember where things are. You know, you have printouts, you have documentation. It has happened to hospitals where they have to go back to manual mode as well. And what that means as well is that in terms of preparing for the worst, you have to do the simulation, right? You have to do the tabletop exercises or the cyber drill so that, you know, you can turn things off and see, can we operate without all these facilities that we are so used to because they are no longer available due to the cyber attack, right? So it requires that kind of preparation in terms of not just whether we can do it or not, but okay, let's turn this off. Imagine that we are really under attack. Let's see if we have the proper documentation. Are people clear about their roles and responsibility? Can we get the people who are on leave or on holiday to support the work and things like that. So it has to go down to that particular level. And one small comment about the supply chain. I know that there's a lot of discussion about, okay, we have to go down through the supply chain in the technology stack, whether or not support can be available if that component or that layer is compromised or under attack, right? Can we switch to a new technology? So for example, I remember in the old days when the Microsoft browser, what was you call that? Internet Explorer, they have like 0 days and things like that. We make advisory, okay, please do not use Microsoft Explorer because there's a 0 day. Use something else, Mozilla. And then the next day, 0 day for Mozilla. Okay, use Opera. There's
And then exist it.
0 day for Opera. And then, okay, we don't have any more browser to use, okay? You are all at risk. But I mean, similarly, if you look at the technology stack that you have today, they don't have to be the commercial ones. It could be things like Let's Encrypt, right? How many of you use Let's Encrypt? Do you pay for Let's Encrypt? Do you pay for Let's Encrypt?
No.
You don't, right?
Nope.
It's free.
Yeah.
It's free. Who pays for them? Who pays for that service to be up and running and available? Someone. Who cares?
Definitely.
Right? But imagine if they are compromised. What is your plan, right? And this is not a far-fetched example. It has happened to OpenSSL, which a lot of people took for granted.
Yes.
And then Heartbleed happened.
Yes.
And then people suddenly realized, oh, nobody really donated to this project. Even the biggest and richest company that is using their technology do not really care about the developer. They have a lot of bugs to fix and things like that. It's a critical piece of software that everybody took for granted, and suddenly you expect, top-notch security and so on and so forth. So I think we have a lot of that lying around in our infrastructure, where we just take for granted, use it because it's free. It's fine. Somebody will be developing it, and hopefully there's no major attack and things like that. So it requires a bit of deep thinking, because if you're not really thinking about it, the adversaries, they are looking at all these aspects, all these possible entry points to get into the infrastructure and to get into the network. That's why this domain is, I think, a bit complicated.
Yes.
At times.
Yes, true. Thank you for the input, Adli bhai. This slide particularly took it from one of the report from CrowdStrike. They published in the first quarter of 2024, and stated the statistics, all of the statistics from 2023, what happened. So they found out almost 34 new adversary group in 2023. 34, brand new. They were never seen in 2022. And the fastest recorded e-crime breakout was 2 minutes and 7 seconds. So those of us who has SOC or SAT, whether it is a national SAT or a commercial SAT, how many of us calculate that what should be the response time? We know about DFIR, digital forensic and incident response, very posh tagline. But what are the response time of an attack? What are the policies should I follow? What are the workflow should I follow? If my people got absent on that time, who will act as the backup? We never thought of that. So these are the situation gives us that goosebump that sometime we need to think about the backup as well. And the fun part and interesting part was almost 75% cyber attack increase has been recorded in the cloud infra. So we are so much fascinated with blockchain, then quantum computing, AI, ML. Now everybody is talking about my solution is based on AI. My solution is based on AI. Basically, there is nothing AI. Everything is Gen AI, Chat GPT, or Gemini, or anything as such. If you are truly doing AI, you should be calling it machine learning, not AI. AI is a different thing holistically. So people are misusing this term for their business purpose. So last slide on this why cyber network security is matter for us as a network operator group. In 2023, Mandiant discovered almost 3,500 threat groups, which is currently running their operation all over the world. And that is almost 900 new group in compared to the last year. Also, 588 new malware genre they have discovered, which is really alarming. So we need to think of that how we are acting on our defense. Is it only network layer or it covers all of them as a layered approach? Zero trust, defense in depth, we are running with so many posh terms, but is this defense is designed in a layered way so that if my first layer is got compromised, rest of them give me that protection. So I think most of us don't do that. In 2023, Microsoft has tracked down almost 300 unique threat actor, those bad guys working from all over the world, along with 50 new ransomware group. So those people are heavily interested in encrypting all of my data and taking my money. In 2021, Google has tracked down almost 270 government-sponsored threat actor group from more than 50 countries. So it is not only the people who is looking for money, it is also the countries, 50 countries, those are not acting as our friend, talking in front, hey, let's have coffee. And then when we get back, they put something inside my coffee so that I got sick. So this is how things is going on in the digital and national infrastructure.
Yeah, maybe one input there on the other slide before that. So I think the state-sponsored attackers, this is a very interesting topic in the circle of people who do incident response and investigation. One point is that a lot of these attackers are very targeted, right? If they want something from you, they go specifically just after you. And every now and then they do use the same tool or reuse the same tool and technique to attack another person. And that's why the science of identifying threat actors is very important, so that maybe they behave differently or they seem to be connected from a different location. But if you can see that there is a lot of similarities in the techniques and tactics, what they do first, next, and so on and so forth, you can say, this is the same group, right? This is the same group. However, it's very hard to see this across board because you might be focused on just one attacker in this segment or in this sector, and another party from another side is focusing on their thing, and we may not find a point to discuss this or share information. That's why sometimes it's very, very hard to track this, but there are forums and groups that discuss these things behind the scene. The second point that I want to raise here, if you want to go into this domain, you have to spend time. Like you have to be full time in this. So that's why most people are just busy with just defending. You don't have time to go deep into doing the research, sharing information, and things like that. And that's why in different places we have different groups doing threat research. Their job may look kind of boring, but they have to go deep into things. Number three, there is a lot of sensitivities in discussing these things as well. So that's why not many researchers in this space is very forthcoming in sharing their reports, because once you share reports, if the attacker is reading your blog or your report, they're like, okay, they caught me here. I'm going to stop using this particular technique. I'm going to burn everything. You're going to lose connection, right? And last point is it's very difficult to attribute. A lot of companies, a lot of government like to say, oh, this must come from country X, or this must come from country Y. How many countries are doing this? More than 50, right? So sometimes you blame another country, but you might be doing it yourself, right? E- Exactly. So I think those in security know very well that we have to be careful about this attribution game, because it might just be a mind game or it could be political, whatever, and we have to sort of stay beyond that. Yeah.
True, true. Um, yes.
These regarding these attacks. So Is there any reference on the slide where someone can go and find the details?
Yes, yes. We have reference on the last slide. So you can get everything from there. Uh, Regarding the attack vector, as I mentioned, that we have summarized all the part, all the attack vector area that are heavily involved in the network security. So what is attack vector? A method or a way that a cyber attacker is using to compromise or perform attack into your infrastructure. So the example stated that command and control via ICMP, reflection attack, DNS tunneling, which also has a connection with DGA, that means dynamic domain generation algorithm, ARP spoofing, definitely DDoS, ICMP ping flood, ping of death, both of them also connected with in any form of DDoS. So these are the attack uh, working their operation to perform any network layer security or any cyber attack that has at least a minimum involvement in all of them in any case of their cyber kill chain or the uh, whole story of a cyber attack. We will be seeing few of the example in the later slide, but in another table I have sort down all the threat actor group name, anchor, APT3, area body, and so on. They are using only command and control in any of their attack phase. So if you see, there are almost 15 group. They are only using command and control. That means they are trying to exfiltrate any data from your infrastructure. Also, they are trying to get something from their command server to inject your system. It could be malware, it could be ransomware, or so on. So I took this data from Mightier Attack, from their knowledge base. You can get it from there as well. And whenever we're talking about network security, there is a term that threat hunting. So what does network security means? Definitely securing your computer network, not only computer network, like my smartphone to my laptop. If I connect with it, this is also a network. So security means this way as well. Then what does a threat hunting mean? Definitely the next part of it, like the detection. Once you are completing your detection methodology with people, process, and technology, then you move into the threat hunting part, which is a proactive action. That means you are trying to find out something. Like here, I am trying to find out something different than normal. So in the network security layer, I am analyzing the logs, correlating that with threat intelligence feed, working with different analytics and so on. But after that, all of them are matched. Then rest of the 20 to 30% log, I'll be focusing on threat hunting, seeing if something abnormal is happening. In cybersecurity, we are calling it kind of a 0 day, that we don't have any knowledge about that. In the defensive part, we are calling it as a threat hunting. So when we are talking about proactive and reactive defense, proactive means uh, definitely after the detection, but we are doing it before the detection. And reactive means responding to a threat after the attack has been performed.
Yeah, I was gonna make comment about this being proactive, and since Shami mentioned that, not just your computer networks, there was a case still ongoing, but a few arrests were made last few months in some of the ASEAN capital cities, KL, Manila, I think recently, a syndicate operating fake BTS to send SMS, fake SMS, phishing SMS, right? So there was spam as much as possible. People interact with it, and then they close shop, move to a different location, right? So if you're doing threat hunting in that situation, what will be you hunting for? The fake BTS, right? That is operating in the locality, and see who's behind it, who might be operating it, and so on and so forth. So when you look at an attack, And if you go according to the critical analysis of how they launch the attack, what they do first, second, and so on and so forth, you'll be able to break it down, and then from there maybe extract some ideas. Okay, where do I start hunting? Because I know the modus operandi, or the fancy word is TTPs. Then you can start looking for these things as a reaction to the particular incident.
Yeah, true. So threat hunting has a different phases. First one is you need to work with your incident response plan. Define the playbook based on the cyber attack, threat actor, and so on. And then gradually you build up your team, you build up your detection engineering, and also you build up your rest of the part. And then create a hypothesis. Like, let's say you have a SIM that is also connected with threat intelligence feed, and all the known cyber attack has been detected. After that, the threat hunting took that place. Like, let's say I will be checking if something goes on DNS layer or DNS traffic. I have been able to detect the DNS exfiltration and so on. So should I look for DGA? So I will be thinking about, within a minimum shortest possible of time, there will be a random domain generated from different IPs from my internal network. So that could be a hypothesis to jump into the threat hunting. We will be talking about those in later slide. This is just for ideas. So via proactive defense, we can do threat hunting. We can implement advanced detection with Zik, with tools like Zik. Then we can map TTP, tactic, technique, and procedure framework like Mightier Attack and so on. In the reactive defense, we can do incident response, patch management, regular update, forensic analysis, regular analysis, and so on. Now, I have talked about Mightier Attack. How many of you know about Cyber Kill Chain and Mightier Attack before today? Anyone? Okay. Cyber Kill Chain and Mightier Attack is a framework, well-known framework that has been used in cybersecurity, particularly in defensive security, to map the attack lifecycle. So cyber kill chain has almost 7 phases, and Mitre attack right now has almost 14 technique. Now, why it has been named as cyber kill chain? This is the oldest one. We call it a cybersecurity framework for threat modeling. You will be hearing about so many terms: threat hunting, threat modeling, threat management, and so on. So whatever you are doing on the threat part, cyber kill chain and Mitre attack will be the common one. So what cyber kill chain is doing, it gives you the high level overview of the cyber attack stage, and Mitre attack is giving you the granular detail, tactic, technique, and procedure. Cyber kill chain gives you the generalized understanding, and definitely Mitre attack is giving you the granular detail of the tools, techniques, and threat actor who have been doing what. Use case can be, cyber kill chain can be used for strategic defense planning, and then understanding the workflow, because it has only 7 phases. But with Mitre attack, we can see that what are the component is acting like what. And also, once we are done with the technological part, like analysis and detection and so on, we need to write down a report. There should be 2 sort of report. One is executive for non-technical bodies and management bodies, and another one is a technical report. So for both of the report, we need a framework like Mitre attack. It gives me all the detail of it. If I summarize these 2 framework in our general life, cyber kill chain is giving us um, like a house, I am trying to breaking into it and stealing some item. So that is what cyber kill chain is trying to tell me. But my theoretics is telling me that I am picking up a lock with a crowbar and disabling the alarm, and then find out Ed Levi's laptop, and from there with a screwdriver I am stealing his hard disks and left the laptop as it is. So that is what sort of granular detail is Mighty Attack is giving us.
Yeah. So in this domain, I think before all these frameworks existed, so the framework is basically just a method or way to describe phases of attack. What happens first, second, third. And the idea is that defenders should have a common understanding. Which part of the attack are you talking about? Before, during, after, in the middle, right? And from there, then we can build, okay, what can we do about those at those stages? Because until attackers achieve their end goal, we can still foil them. We can still make them fail, right? Just because they came in, it doesn't mean that they can leave or take information out. We can still detect them. So it's just a method of agreeing on how to describe certain phases of the attack and what can we do about it. Without frameworks, you can imagine if you're not in security, if people ask you, how do hacking happens? Well, when I watch the movies, someone just type really fast and access granted, right? And it's over, right? Of course, there's more nuance to that. So us as defender, and this MITRE group and people who develop cyber kill chain, Lockheed Martin, I think, try to have built a body of knowledge around stages of attack. And from there, you can talk about defense, protection, maybe protection of very specific things. Maybe phases of attack on a Windows device is different from a network device, right? Because one may not have GUI, the other one has a shell or something like that, right? So it makes us easier. And how do you know a framework is popular? First, when conferences start to talk about it, have a dedicated session. So now if you go to all security conferences, people will say MITRE ATT&CK framework, right? Vendors start to have things like our product is MITRE ATT&CK compliance, right? Suddenly it's a compliance thing. But basically, they're saying that if we do logging, then we can easily help you map it to the MITRE ATT&CK framework so that you can include it in your executive report, or if you want to report to your stakeholders and things like that. So somehow this framework is part of the vocabulary of those who are doing security, which means that if you're interviewing a candidate for a security job, you can ask them, what do you know about the MITRE ATT&CK framework? Or can you explain this attack or map this attack to this framework, see if they know about it, because it's sort of now common knowledge or expected as something that you need to know in this field.
Right. Like learning a language, you need to learn the alphabet, then build up words, then sentence, then essays, then write up something, and then try to speak. So if we talk about a particular scenario, we will be talking about DNS tunneling attack. But before that, uh, how many of you have uh, um conducted any lab in Epinic Academy? None of you? So, yeah, 1, 2. Okay, so I will request all of you. There is a lab called DNS tunneling in Epinic Academy. Epinic Academy is free for all. So all you need to do is to register yourself over there and check out DNS tunneling attack lab. That lab was basically designed by me, and it give you the whole experience how a DNS tunneling attack has been performed, and as a defender, how you can analyze those and detect those. And that lab has been developed over there by one of our ex-colleague, Warren Finch. The main design was done by me, the script and so on. So that particular script you won't find in the internet, and the DGA it has been used, the algorithm it has been used, it is not existed in any internet domain or open source platform. So,
Shamim, quick check.
Yeah.
Shamim has been talking about DGAs. Do you guys all know what DGA is? Maybe
Yes.
30-second explanation.
So
DGA.
DGA is domain generation algorithm. It is a another form of a malicious software, which actually generates a random domain that doesn't exist. Like let's say my name is Shamim Reza, so my domain would be shamimreza.com. So whenever they are generating that dynamic domain, it could be several pattern of Shamim Reza. Not all of them are same. And then .NET. It could be in another form like Shamim Reza is there, but after dot, it will be net, com, org, .in, .au, .us, and so on. And this is kind of DGA. So what DGA is doing? DGA is acting a pro part of establishing command and control center. Like any malicious software generating DGS, thousand of non-existing domain in just 1 hour. So in 1 hour, probably 10,000 or 5,000. Only one domain will will respond with an IP, and that IP will help the malicious software to connect with the command and control server, where the threat actor has hosted all of his next command line and so that is what DGA is doing. Now, after DGA is the first part of this DNS tunneling attack. The second part is establishing the connection with CNC server. And the third part is, once the connection has been established, third part is exfiltrate your data. Like let's say how it happens, probably a threat actor is targeting me. I am the owner of a company and he has compromised my system, my laptop. And via that, he watched that my system doesn't have any antivirus or any EDS solution or any DLP solution. So there is no way that my security guys can monitor what is happening inside my workstation. So he installed DGA and then connection established to the command and control server. And then he took all the financial document from my PC to his CNC server that he has been hosted in his place. This is how DNS tunneling is happening. Why? Because via Spam House research a few years back, almost 87 to 93% of malware and ransomware attack happened via DNS. In the whole attack scenario, they have been using DNS for more than 87 to 93%, and more than 67% enterprise never monitored their DNS activity. So you have firewall, you have UTM, you have so many technologies and tools and appliances, but you don't monitor the activity in DNS layer. So that is why the increased rate of using DNS as an attack method in any phase is increasing day by day. Now, this is a diagram that state how the DNS tunneling and tunneling attack has been happened. This is a very generic flow diagram. There are so many ways to perform any DNS tunneling attack. So you will be able to see so many different network diagram in terms of DNS tunneling. Now, as we talked about mightier attack, if we focus only on DNS tunneling, we have seen 14 tactic. But out of that 14, in DNS tunneling, there are only 6 tactic. So number one is initial access. Via that, the initial access has been conducted via a phishing email or spear phishing attack. And then execution, like that phishing link. Let's say I have attacked with a phishing email. There is a URL inside that email. I click that URL and it downloaded the malicious script. That malicious script is configuring that tunneling tool, and then it roam around the whole infrastructure. It stays on my system as a startup program in the persistent phase. Then it evade my defense, any log or any evidence that activity has. It deleted all of them, and also it established that tunnel with his hosted CNC with command and control phase, and then whenever everything has been completed, it exfiltrate all the data from my system to his infra. So this particular 6 tactic has a number with T1547 and then 001. And after that number, it has a separate tagline. So initial access, execution, persistence, defense evasion, command and control, exfiltration. These are tactics. And then spear phishing attack and command and scripting interpreter. These are sub techniques. And you can see that in persistence, T1547, after that, there is a number 001, which is a sub technique. So
Yeah, just a quick input for this part. Sometimes it's easier to remember that tactic and technique, especially for us who are not native English speaker. So tactics, those are the goals.
goals.
What are the goals of the attacker?
Right.
Well, he or she wants initial access. After that, execute some code. After that, stay in the network, persistent. After that, the goal is to evade defense. Talk to the command and control. So, of course, the ultimate goal of the attack is maybe steal information or do surveillance. But to achieve all of that, they have to have small steps, small achievements, gain access first. So tactics are goals. Techniques is the how-tos.
How-tos.
Right? Send phishing email. Start a cron job, right? If it's not Windows. Stuff like that. So tactic, goals, technique, the how-to. How do they do it?
Yep.
And it's going to be different. If it's a mobile device, if it's a computer,
Yep.
if it's a cloud service, right? So my attack framework, when they say TTPs, tactic, techniques, and procedures, right? Tactics, goals, technique, the how-to, right? So it makes us defenders to be familiar of, okay, what stage are we talking about here? And how many techniques are there to gain access, for example, right?
Right.
So, and we can even like zoom in. Now we're talking about just DNS tunneling.
Right.
There are limited techniques for this particular goal, right? And so on and so forth. So it helps us map out the possibilities, and it makes us actually better at defending and catching things quicker as well.
Yeah.
If we can go down to that level.
As I mentioned, that whenever any cyber attack is happening, what are the response time? So these are the tools and framework that help us to do the automation and lower down the response time, so that our business loss or impact of any attacker is getting lower. Now, before we jump into our next few part, let us talk about the real-world threat landscape evaluation history. Plain and simple. Back in 90s, the cyber attack was different. We used to know as virus. So there are so many companies that are still working on antivirus. Now they are telling us that my antivirus is intelligent, AI based. Yes, there are so many technologies and terms came out: EDR, NDR, XDR, MDR, and so on. DLP. DLP has so many variant, but antivirus is also there. And then early 2010s, there are APTs came out, Advanced Persistent Threat. So does anybody know why we call it APT? Yes. they remain inside my home even after I have so many things to look at them. And they don't do any harm. They only check my activities, if I am that much of valuable or not, and so many things. And once they find out that yes, there is no loss to stay there and do some activity, then they work on that part. And frankly speaking, there is I forgot the specific timeline, but it is near about 60 to 90 days. It take more than 90% of the company to find out that they are already compromised. And the timeline is 60 to 90 days. So you are already got sick. You are already affected with a disease and you don't know it.
Yeah, I was going to say the fancy term for that is dwell time.
Dwell time, right?
Yeah. How long can an attacker, or more than one attacker sometimes, be in your network without being detected, right? So, yeah, 60 days, that's game over, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too long.
That's too long. That's way too long. So, but right now we have so many blend of attack. Not only ransomware, there are nowadays ransomware as a service is also announced. So you see, there is a marketplace for cyber attackers, and as a defender, we don't have any as a marketplace. So we also need to think about that as well. If we talk about the history of cyber attack, definitely, yes, please.
Right. So you were saying like the attacker could remain like there for 60 days or 90 days.
Yeah.
So is there any way like we can detect him before he has spent so long time and he's able to do the damage?
Yes, yes, that is why we are conducting this session. It's like uh, we have talked about reactive and proactive defense. So, reactive defense is doing all the regular idea, all the work that we are aware of. That is where the proactive part is coming, threat hunting. Threat hunting will help you to check if there is any abnormal activities going on. And by the hypothesis you will be working on, it will take you to that phase that you will be able to capture him or capture that activity or threat actor before it takes 60 days or 90 days.
Yeah. So I feel that this kind of thinking that, attacker can be in a network without being detected has to be there first. So everything has to be designed with sort of this knowledge in mind, because I feel that after doing a lot of training, maybe Shamima knows as well, there is still this thinking that if we don't see anything, it's okay, right?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no news is good news, right? But people don't realize, yeah, you are in darkness.
Yes.
And attackers are proactively making sure that they're not being detected. So what options do you have as a defender, right? So that they trip over something, they make a mistake, right? So you have to build this philosophy within the team that maybe it's too quiet here, something is not right.
Right.
So, and what is the baseline? So a lot of people sometimes don't even know where their assets are, right? Or maybe it's there, or maybe at his computer, who knows? Like, it's been there all this time. Really, right? So it's this philosophy that I think that if you are doing security today, you have to go deep, right? You have to read case studies, right? You have to be interested in learning about attacks. What did they do? How did they do it? How can they pull this off? So what if that happens to us? How fast can we react to it? Where can we lock down as much as possible so that they don't even have a chance to come in, right?
Right.
Rather than wait for something happens and then we react to it, firefighting, and then, reformat everything. Everything will be fine after that, right? So it's not that era anymore, I think. Right?
Yeah,
it's
true.
much more sophisticated. Attacks are very well planned and executed, right? Lots of tools, lots of techniques being shared, and we just have to be better and faster.
Yeah,
basically.
true.
Yeah.
I have two things to say here. There is a memes. I will show you that picture. The picture is very famous. But the memes is like a SOC engineer is not bothered about the hacker who is beside him, but he's looking towards a person which is stated as no activity in last 7 days. So that is what the problem is. If you don't have any problem the whole day or last 7 days, that means something is wrong in your network infra. That is one. Another one is there is a very important term Adli Bhai has used, inventory. In my last 16 to 17 years of experience working with enterprises, government, and so many SME and large enterprise and big infra, not only in Bangladesh, but also throughout the Asia Pacific, I have come to a conclusion that more than 70% organization doesn't have an inventory. Even if an ISP, they don't have a list of their router switches, what are the firewalls, what are the devices they have been using. A small, forget about SME, like a well-established enterprise, they don't have their asset inventory. So if you don't know what you have, how will you able to defend them or protect them? If you don't know, you can't protect. To protect something that belongs to you, you need to know them very well. Now, let's come to the point. Yes, whenever we're talking about security, whether it is a cyber security or a segment of it, we talked about SolarWind supply chain attack. Uh, it happened in 2020, and the attack was initially compromised one of the laptop from their intern, and it got connected with their Orion software update process and affected all over the world. And our next slide, as I mentioned that I have to ditch so many slides from my main one. Here I mentioned that I have a mapping with cyber kill chain and MITRE attack, but I had to delete the cyber kill chain slides. So this is a MITRE attack mapping. If we see that not all of the 14 tactic has been used in SolarWinds supply chain attack. It started definitely with initial access, and then data exfiltration happened. But inside that, there are more than twice a time they have used DNS in their attack life cycle. And yes, definitely command and control. This is the primary one, but I think there is another one. But the goal is, let's say SolarWinds supply chain attack is a brand new, and I got affected. If I manage to map it with my tier attack framework in this way and share it with all of you, you will be able to revise your defensive procedure, isn't that? So that is what the motto from the defender perspective using these frameworks. Now, before we jump into our next part, do you have any question? Anything? Yes, please.
I'll stay there. Shami.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the inventory you mentioned.
Yeah.
This is also a critical information. So how can I know that if I have inventory, it will not be accessed by the attacker itself and make the board easy for him
Okay.
to use this one for his advantage.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
is what if we can save it in our memory or in our USB or whatever?
Okay, cool. This is a very good question. I will take a bit more time to explain this to explain to your question, which is when I first knocked by APNIC back in 2022, they were asking me to revise their network monitoring and management course curriculum. So that time I was thinking about why not we put a virus to the network admin head that they not only have to focus on the technological configuration, but also think about the inventory. And the reason is I put a particular slide that I mentioned the challenge is, let's say your manager or your senior who remember everything that a network has, he goes on leave or on a vacation or he's getting married or God knows he might die. He might die. So what you can do? You will search every single device and reboot it to break the password and then take all the information into a place. That is what the generic situation in all over the enterprises. They don't have inventory. The updated part is nowadays people are using Excel file. So let's say, as you mentioned, your PC got compromised with ransomware and your Excel file got encrypted. What can you do? Now let's come to the actual part, inventory. You will be using few of the open source project or proprietary software to do your inventory. Definitely you make sure all the defensive criteria, defensive and protective mechanism layered by layered to protect that information. Why? Because that is a source of truth, SOT. And your source of truth has multi-layer of backup. As I mentioned at the beginning of this session, that no matter what, you are connected with internet or digital ecosystem, you are not secured. So you assume you will not be secured no matter how strong your defense is. But you make sure the loss is minimum. So layered approach is a must. All the defensive procedure, configuration, hardening, monitoring, analysis, proactive response is a must. The way you are doing to protect your asset, your network device, your data, you will be considering your inventory as a top layer of your data. Okay? Does that answer your question? Yeah, cool.
Can I add one
Please.
thing? So these days, you cannot do a security presentation without mentioning zero trust. Okay? So inventorying is critical to doing the zero trusting. Why? Not just we identify things, but now we're gonna start profiling and make trust relationship. So I have a machine here, only 3 people can connect to it, right? So if an attacker comes to the 4th machine, he's stuck there, he or she is stuck there, right? So we can introduce rules and policies based on the assets, their location, their trust level, and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. Okay, so we will move to our next segment, which is Zik fundamental. So how many of you have ever known Zik?
Seek.
Bro? Yes, Zik, the previous name of Zik was Bro. We will be seeing the history of it. But what Zik is doing, it is helping us to monitor our network security, definitely. How? As an analyzer. So we are familiar with NetFlow, SFlow. How many of you have used NetFlow? Yeah,
Everybody.
yeah, kind of everybody, because you are working in the network. So Zeek is working on the span traffic. We know about mirror traffic, right? So that is what Zeek is working on. So taking all of your mirroring data, working on it, and give you the specific information that is required to automate your analytical process. And definitely it is working on the layer 7, so all of the protocol. Even if you don't have any standardized protocol, it will also work on that and give you the actual information it can extract from that raw traffic. Definitely, there is a way to write customized script for Zik. So you don't have to rely on the default one all the time. You have that avenue to customize it. And also, you have that avenue to connect it with your SIEM, your existing log analyzer, or any SOC platform in any way. Now, if we check into the history of Zeek, it started in 1995 as a bro. And since 1996 to 1999, there are so many working was going on. And yes, it had been awarded and presented at a US NICS security symposium. But something happened in near to 2001 to 2003. They checked it in a different way, renamed it from Bro to Zik. And there is another reason. They have a good amount of fund to do the research and expand this particular project. And if we say the modern era, it all started back in 2018. Uh, very large amount of people and group of people who are actively working on the community to build up for Zik, and then connect with few companies like Core Light, and take support from them for the advanced working. And last in 2020, Zik has announced their updated one, Zik version 3, which is more usable and feasible for network security and threat hunting. The way Zik architecture or Zik is functioning is it takes the network packet, the raw packet, then it has a event engine who is working on the protocols, and whenever any event is happening, it take all the information and convert it to a particular log or evidence via policy scripting interpreter. So let's say my IP is connected with Adlibhai's IP. So I will get a log in con.log file. How that happened? The event engine sends an event that connection has been established. So EST, connection has been established, and when the connection has been established, based on the policy script interpreter, it gives me the whole value. So we have seen in NetFlow that source IP, source protocol, destination IP, destination protocol, and so many things, packets, bytes, and so on. It also has that payload that particular packet has during the travel from source to destination. Now, the primary purpose of Zeek is monitoring your live traffic. You can also monitor your captured traffic. We will also perform a test on that, but the primary goal is to monitor your live traffic. Yes, you can use it as a single user, as like TCP dump or Wireshark. But for the professional usability or use case, you need to dedicate a server, at least a server. And the resource of that server will depend on the network traffic you will take. So, and it is based on the threshold. We'll be talking about these in later slides. Identifying the best monitoring location. Before you get into the ideal point, definitely your server has to a single IP, a dedicated IP, and you need to place it in a way that you can get the original IP from your source, like before the NAT is happening. Because if you place it after the NAT, you won't be able to get any local IPs. You will only get the IP of real IP or public IP of your NAT system. Not only span traffic is the option, but also you can place a network tapper to get to fulfill your purpose. As I mentioned, that challenges is getting to know the traffic information inside your NAT, and also sometime it is difficult to get access into your particular location. Why? If you see this block diagram, we have ISP and A is a very complex place. You will be putting your Zik sensor because you won't be able to get anything because of your ISP router or wireless access point. You cannot get anything from your C wireless device. If you place it in D, you will be seeing only wired connected information, not the wireless one. So how can we mitigate that part?
Shamin,
Yes,
quick reminder, almost tea break time.
tea break. Okay.
You may want to wrap up here or
I
continue.
think we will wrap it up here. After the tea break, we will start our session from this slide. How we can mitigate that placement criteria, and then we'll jump into the hands-on testing. How do we analyze? Yes, this slide is available on the Epinic. Yeah, please. Yes.
Is Zeek could be considered as a for ISP as a carrier grade or for enterprise only?
Yeah, that is
Depending
a
on like
that is a very good question, and the answer depend on so many criterias. If you have budget to host that amount of resources into your server, as an ISP or carrier grade, you can host Zeek. But if you have very lower budget, you need to consider that, because Zeek is a resource hungry service, and there is also an opportunity that you could ditch the payload. So the amount of storage will be lower, and the amount of resources, CPU or RAM, that can be used to process all the traffic. But it depends on the use case. Like, how much is your volume of traffic? Based on that, you will be able to calculate the resources, and based on that, you will be able to calculate your cost. So let's say you are generating revenue of 10 million per year, and to deploy Zeek, you need to spend almost 5 million. So I would not suggest that. Yeah. So definitely Zeek, the main problem of Zeek is it's resource hungry. So it is more feasible for SME and enterprises and so on. But for cloud service provider and ISP, you need to calculate all of those things, that which part is important.
an ISP just want to use it for the net flow analysis.
Yes.
Just to know like what is
What is the
different
difference?
kind of
Okay.
services or TCP or UDP services being used, or who is the top talker, or what are the different destination that
Yes.
it can provide or it cannot
Yes.
provide.
It can give everything that a NetFlow or IPFlix is showing you. So if you want to get more than that, you will also be able to get it from here. The fun part is, let's say you have very low budget, and you only want to store the payload for last 7 days in FIFO mode, fast in and fast out. So via that payload storage, you will be able to get so many information, not only top talker and so many things, but all the granular details, and configure it in a way that FIFO, fast in fast out, for last 7 days or 3 days, and you don't have to store all the payload. It will be much featureful in compared to NetFlow.
Okay, just last question very quick,
Please.
then you can go for
Yeah,
a
yeah.
break. We can export the like the net flow data uh, if it's even not directly connected, or it has to be directly connected, like we are mentioning different points where
Right.
it could be deployed.
For Zeek,
Yeah.
for Zeek, you need to have a direct connection. That is another problem. Direct connection means, let's say you want to export all your Zeek log to your VM infra or cloud infra. The logical interface of your VM infra should be connected to your physical NIC.
So you need some sort of maybe a tunnel.
Right.
That could be, you know.
Yes. So that is another challenge working with Zeek. So Zeek is very useful, but it depends on your use case. It's not like that, yes, I love mango, so all of you should eat mango. It's not like that. It's kind of jackfruit. So not everybody is able to tolerate the smell of jackfruit and the taste of it. So it depends on the use case. Anything? Okay, we can go for.
Yep. Come back at 4:30.
Yeah,
Then we
sure.
continue with hands-on.
Thank you.